Evening, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining me tonight. Hi, Dennis. So I'm going to start with a meditation tonight because this is a Ho'oponopono meditation. I'll go through that just as a relax, get rid of the day's stuff. And then I'll tell you the story of Ho'oponopono, and then the story that I know of Ho'oponopono, and then I'll go through more about it and how it helps me. So, as we all arrive here today, we allow the rest of the day to fade into the distant background. We are here to appreciate the sacredness of the room that we're in, the sacredness of the chair that we are sitting on, and the floor beneath our feet. And we feel complete love and gratitude for everything in our reality. To think for a moment of all the people that built this room, that added the electricity, the heating, and decorated the room to make it possible for us to gather. Actually, that's if we're in a... Anyway. To appreciate everything we come into contact with, and to know it's not by chance it has come to your awareness at this time, and then to gently let it go with grateful thanks and love for all things that we encounter. So this is the rainbow meditation. If you'd like to take a few deep breaths and relax. As we open this meditation, we see a huge rainbow drop that came and landed over us and everything. And as the drop melted, it worked to divide up all the memories of your physical concerns into small pieces. The drop then melted the pieces away. The drop then melted the pieces away. The drop then melted the pieces away. This process takes just a moment, and at the end we are given a rainbow cookie from divinity. The cookie is a tool for you to use specifically for your experience of any perceived physical or mental situations that you feel you encounter. Imagine eating the cookie whenever you feel you need to, and it will help dissolve any issues. It is done. Now, if you can bring yourself back gently into the room and to the chair that you're sitting on, and open your eyes. Thank you, I love you. So that's just a short little meditation just to start the evening. So welcome everyone. I'm Jackie White. I've trained in Ho'oponopono and in the advanced course of Ho'oponopono, which is easily done. It's online, and that's with Joe Vitale. I probably heard about Ho'oponopono, it could well be 10 years ago now. And that was through a friend of mine, Jackie Cross. She told us about it one evening, and it really resonated with me, the story that she told us. And that was through Joe Vitale, had written a book called Zero Limits, all about Ho'oponopono. And his story, he had heard about a Dr Hew Len, Ihaleakala Hew Len, who had practiced Ho'oponopono, but they weren't sure at the time they heard this story that a doctor had gone into a hospital in Hawaii for mentally disturbed or criminally insane patients, actually, into this ward that was completely unloved and uncared for. The staffing problem was a real issue. Staff would leave on on a regular basis, or they'd be sick on a regular basis. When they were in, they didn't like being in because the patients were so awful. They were shackled. They were manipulating the staff, or the staff were manipulating the patients. Excuse me. The paint wouldn't stay on the wall. Doctors would come and go, but nobody ever stayed there. So it was just a very unloved place. And so Dr. Hew Len went to this hospital, and can I just check? Are you seeing me on the screen? Because all I can see is Dennis. Oh, okay, lovely. Thank you. Yeah, so very unloved place. And then Dr. Hew Len went there on the proviso that he would not have to see any of the patients. Well, by this time, they were so desperate to have help that they said, yes, come in. You know, it didn't appear to the staff that he was doing anything particularly. He would go into his office every day, say good morning quite cheerfully, but he wouldn't see anyone. They didn't know what he was doing particularly, but he was in his office for the day. But after about 2 months, things started to change. The shackles were coming off. Oh, where they were highly medicated, the medication was going down. I think after it was about 4 to 6 months, they asked him if he would share what they were doing, because even though he didn't appear to be doing anything, because there were such changes, the staff, and they were actually overstaffed by then, so they asked him if he could share what he was doing. And he said that what his practice is called Ho'oponopono, which is to delete or to make right. And so they had a meeting with him, and he explained that he would go into his office each day, pull out a file of a person, just any one of the patients at the time, look through whatever he'd done, and some had committed the most heinous of crimes. And he'd read through that, and he would just over and over again in his mind say, I'm sorry, or even out loud, I'm sorry. Please forgive me, I love you, and thank you. He had learnt that from Morna Simeona, which she was a Hawaiian kahuna. I'll go back to just Morna, just to tell you a little bit about Morna. She had brought Ho'oponopono to the awareness of a few Hawaiians, and she was well renowned because Dr. Hew Len's daughter had shingles at the age of 13. He'd been to many, many doctors and therapists to try and get help for his daughter. And it wasn't until he saw Morna that the daughter got healed of the shingles. So he knew that within what she was doing, there was something. So he booked up to go on a course of hers for Ho'oponopono. He didn't stay there on the first occasion, even though it was really expensive. She was talking about elementals and everything being alive, and it just was too way out for him. He didn't understand that, so he left. Then he went back again quite soon after, and again he just couldn't stay with it, just didn't think it sounded feasible. But then he decided that there just must be something to it, so he went back a third time to be with her, and that was like in 1978, and then he stayed with her right through to her transition in 1992. So in all of that time, he learned so much from her, and it was during that time, in that time, that he was offered this job in the mid-80s to go to this hospital ward and help. So he explained all of this to the people, and that he would read through this to see how he felt when he read whatever they'd committed. Whatever feelings came up with him, whether it was repulsion or anger, frustration, anger, I think I said that. All he would do is sing over and over in his mind, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, and thank you. But the bigger part of that, he obviously knew the bigger part of that So the I'm sorry is for whatever is programming is in me that created this event. Please forgive me for being unconscious to my own thought processes. Thank you for releasing this program from my being. And I love you, and I am returning to source and wiping my inner whiteboard clean. So that's the whole meaning of just saying I'm sorry, but you don't need to say I'm sorry for whatever is programming is in me that created this event. You don't have to say the whole sentence because divinity knows what you mean by that. But actually I've missed out a part by saying that, because what you're actually doing, you're saying that to your inner child. So we have the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, and our subconscious mind is our inner child. So when you're saying I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you and thank you, you're saying that to your inner child, your subconscious mind. And I don't know if you've ever seen the I've seen a picture of an iceberg, and when you see an iceberg, you just see the tip of the iceberg, but the base of the iceberg is like 3/4 bigger than the tip of the iceberg that shows above the, quite often. And that's our subconscious mind. So by the age of 7, we have gathered so much stuff from people. I'm sure I'm telling you a lot of stuff that you already know, but it's always good to have reminders. So I think hopefully if you trust that what you're hearing now, even if you've heard it before, is just a nice reminder. So yeah, your subconscious mind gathers everything. By the age, you know that saying, by the age of 7, show me the boy of 7 and I'll show you the man, which means women as well. It's what you've picked up by the age of 7, you take with you through life, and that is your subconscious, but that is your inner child as well. So how much love and thought do we give to our inner child? And I mean, that's not particularly something that's shown in the Zero Limits book. There's not an awful lot about the inner child, but with Mabel Katz, who I've since then bought the book of Mabel Katz, The Easiest Way, she does talk about the inner child, and that really, really resonates with me, that what you're trying to do is incorporate the inner child within yourself. So when we say about loving ourselves, how important it is to love ourselves, you know, so many different things. I've trained as a happiness coach, done the Akashic records and all of that, the Ho'oponopono, all of them is all about loving yourself and how important it is to love yourself. So with this, it's to really learn to love your inner child and help that inner child feel safe and secure and loved, because we've probably neglected and not realized how important that inner child is. And that's the one that carries all the stuff, you know. So whatever happens with your mum, dad, brothers, sisters, anyone in your reality, teachers, anyone you saw up to the age of 7 and obviously beyond, but that is the most crucial. And I do believe that until you're the age of 7, what you pick up and carry with you through life repeats the patterns all through your life. So you all know about repeated patterns, you know, different things that have happened. Might not be the same story, but it's the same outcome. It's the same thing that happens. It's old programs, old tapes replaying, memories going over and over. So you know, when someone, you can have 99 really lovely compliments and one that's not so lovely, which is the one you think about, you know. So that's the type of replaying memories that we have going over and over again. So what Ho'oponopono does, it is a delete key to make right. And to realize that is to know that you're 100% responsible for everything in your life. So that's a big one. You're 100% responsible for anything in your life. So I'll just read this bit to you. The story of Dr. Hew Len and the criminally insane patients at a secure hospital unit in Hawaii. taking 100% responsibility for everything in your life with no guilt, not having to understand that, but just to say, I love you and thank you, and let it go and let God. So 100% responsible for everything in our life, because actually there is only us in our life, in our reality. And anything outside of us is a projection. So, and the projection is the memories that we're replaying over and over again. So I know, and please, if you're thinking any questions now as we go along, please make a note of them, and I'm more than happy to answer them. But yeah, so it's a projection of our life as we go along, and so we need to clear that program, clear that from ourselves. We're going to either be coming from memories. Can you see that? Just an M. So we're only going to come from memories, or we're going to be at zero. If you picture a big whiteboard, you know, a blank, how wonderful if we could be at zero. So when we're saying, I love you, please forgive me, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you and thank you, in any order, although there is one order that can make it sound a bit odd. I'm sorry, I love you. I'm sorry that I love you. It could sound like, but I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you and thank you. So, but again, it is any order, because you mean, the whole meaning is what I've told you before. So when you say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you, you're taking 100% responsibility for anything that's come up in your reality. And by doing that, with no heaviness, with no feelings of guilt or anything, you just know that what you're trying to clear is all these old tapes and old memories that are replaying over and over again. And you want to be at zero. You want to be that blank sheet at zero. Righty-ho. So we love our whole essence. To love Ho'oponopono is to make right, to correct an error, and the delete key. Delete to create the empty space. Zero, so inspiration can show up to guide us. So again, I'll come back to the inner child, because I really think that's so important. I just want to read from Mabel Catt's book, The Easiest Way, which I absolutely love this book. And she does a beautiful question and answers at the back. And one of the questions, and I apologise, Dennis, because I know you've heard this so many times, but always good for a reminder. Why is my connection with my inner child so important? You can talk to your child at any time. When you're driving, when you're waiting in line, it's important to say, I love you and thank you as often as you can to this part of you. These are great tools to use with your inner child. Thank you for doing my breathing, for taking care of our body, for pumping our heart. If anything is causing you pain or suffering right now, you can ask your child to let it go. Work with your child coming from love. Not forcing anything, like with an affirmation. We love our enemies, who are simply the memories stored within our subconscious mind or inner child. We don't resist our enemies. Love can heal anything. Not only does your inner child hold all your memories and run your body, it's also the part of you that makes the connection with your superconscious mind. And from your superconscious mind, it goes to divinity. Your inner child is also the manifester in your life. Talk to your child. Mentally think of hugging your child, gently holding his or her hand. Know that a man can have an inner child who is a girl, or vice versa, with no expectations. You may see or hear this child when you talk to him or her. Some of you may not have any experience at all, and that's just okay. You just do it, again with no expectations. And when you talk to your child, you're actually cleaning. In other words, the caring of your inner child is a cleaning tool. Maybe you want to think about all the things that you would like to let go of, physically and emotionally. So you ask your child with love and compassion, please let go. Any time is a good time to talk to your inner child. Maybe you want to say, I'm sorry for all the lifetimes that I've neglected you or that I've ignored you. Maybe you want to promise and reassure this child that you will not abandon him or her again. If you're looking for the perfect partner, your inner child is it. It is the one you're looking for. And I just love that. Your inner child is just so important. It's such a big part of you. And so to love yourself is to love your inner child, to make your inner child a part of you, because it is the inner child that's carried all that heaviness from early years and through your life. And then to let that inner child know how much it's loved and cared for. Because again, it's part of you and there is only you in your reality. Again, you know, anything outside of yourself, any issues, any problems, they're all just old tapes replaying and replaying. And it's up to us to take the 100% responsibility just to let that go. I think what's happened in this last year and a half actually, has been a perfect opportunity really, because on some level, if you look at it, he's gone into the room, looked at the files, and whatever he knows was come to his attention, then he's helped on some level to create that. And your logical mind would say, but I wasn't there when he did that. But there's no he. It's been brought into your reality. When someone tells you a very sad story or any story, very good story, whatever it is, you still clean, because you're opening yourself up for inspiration, to allow inspiration, to think of to become that blank sheet. And what I love about that is that when you're doing it all the time. I mean, to start with, it's like driving. You have to think consciously about every move you make driving a car. With Ho'oponopono, you do consciously have to think, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you, over and over again consciously. That does obviously work. But after a while, it really, when anything happens, it just comes to the forefront of your mind. You know, if somebody's not very nice on the road to you or anything, or vice versa, or if you get wound up on the road. But then instead of that, or any silly memory, especially at night time, when you know what it's like at night, when the silly memory thoughts come into your mind, I find that a perfect opportunity to then bring that forward to my mind. I love you and thank you. And that alone, I love you and thank you. You don't even have to say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. You could just say, I love you and thank you. Thank you for releasing this program from my being. I love you and I'm returning to source and wiping my inner whiteboard clean. What you're doing then is you're not only cleaning it for yourself, you're clearing it for all your ancestors. You're clearing it for the situation that you found yourself in. And I'm saying for anyone related to that, there is no one else but you. But of course, it does seem very real that there is a lot of people other than you in your reality. It's a big one. It's a big concept to get your mind around, but it really is helpful once you can understand that there is only you in your reality. And some people feel so heavy with all what's going on for them. And I totally understand that. And when I listen to it, all I do is I bring forward, I love you and thank you. I love you and thank you. Because then that's come into my reality for me to clean whatever comes up for us. And so what I'm saying about this last 18 months, I'm not saying I'm bombarded, but I do get an awful lot of messages. And I do like to be up to date with what's going on. And again, when I read all this stuff or when I see these videos and I see what this world's been like for a long, long time, we've all had a part to play in it, even if it was in a past life. It's all come to this point now. What's so exciting is what's coming forward. So if we all understood, can you imagine if we all understood Ho'oponopono and we were all coming from inspiration and allowing God to run the show? I know that could cause a lot of conflict in just a thought. So that's a judgment as well. So with Ho'oponopono, there's no judgment. I read this part earlier, which I'd forgotten completely. I haven't seen this one for a long time, but it was very interesting. If all I need are the 4 phrases, then what's up with all these Ho'oponopono products that people sell and profit from? If you ask me, capitalization on spirituality is a turn-off and makes me question the validity of Ho'oponopono. Can you answer this for me? And I love this answer. Thinking people are capitalizing on spirituality suggests that money is bad. Money is not bad. Money is in fact neutral. Basic Ho'oponopono practitioner certification 29. I don't know why I said that, put that in there. Well, I don't think I did. But anyway, money is even spiritual. I created in an entire, I guess whoever was, where I copied this from, I don't know where I copied it from. I created an entire audio course about this issue. Oh, I reckon that was from Joe Vitale, The Secret to Attracting Money. If everything is divine, why would money be an exception? The products are there to help you. If you don't want them, don't buy them. But why sit in judgment when others are creating products to help you feel better, to get clearer, and to be happier? They are doing a service. Judging it as bad or unspiritual sounds like a limiting belief that needs clearing. It sounds self-righteous, so I'll clean on that. So his answer to everything is whatever comes into his reality, he'll clean on. And I think money is a big thing for all of us at some level. And so to have a judgment around it, and we judge all the time, even me with Ho'oponopono, you always fight. And I think that's so ingrained. Can you say something on that, Dennis? What do you think about judgments? Land you in it.
Yeah, I think judgment and ego are the 2 things that are probably dominant in my life. But it's easy to just release that with Ho'oponopono. So in judgment, it's just a memory in us.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's just coming from a memory.
Everything I'm saying now is coming from a memory. It's just that I hope I'm open to inspiration to say what I'm going to say next. But Dennis and I run the Ho'oponopono workshops together in person when we can. And I know, you know, I'm hoping we'll do one again soon. I hope it won't be long before we do another one. Well, let's put that out there. It is anyway. That will happen. But yeah, so thank you, Dennis. I'm in judgment. We said on the Hill on Sunday about judgment. We do, even like when you said something to me, you said, I know this is making a judgment. And you just, it's a common thing every day. But that doesn't mean that we're not cleaning the whole time and saying, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you, for whatever's coming up for us at any time.
But we can clear that judgment so quickly. In seconds, just by you know, using Ho'oponopono, and so you're not carrying that judgment really for more than 10 or 20 seconds, maybe 30 seconds.
Yeah,
So
I mean, you just live Ho'oponopono, don't you?
I do. In every moment we've got a choice, haven't we, as we all know, and so I can choose to live, let's say, in a judgment, or choose to clean it, which I do. But as you said, Jackie, it's when you do it for so long, it's just an automatic response, really.
Yeah, it honestly is. So I find it so helpful. If anyone's got any questions, either put them in the chat box or do unmute and ask. Otherwise, I'll just carry on. But yeah, thank you for that, Dennis.
Please,
Dennis,
may I ask?
Oh yeah, do.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Hello.
this is
That's
Renee.
lovely. Hello, everyone. Just bear with me one moment. My child is calling me. Hold on one moment. Sorry. What I was going to ask is, so say like I watched something on the TV and something triggered me, would I just go straight into, you know, I'm sorry, I love you straight away? And will that just clear it straight away?
Lovely question. Thank you.
Sorry, just
love
because
you. Thank you.
I love you. I love you. Thank you.
Yeah, if anything comes up on the TV, well, why would you be watching the TV? There's a judgment.
It's so true as well, because I don't watch it.
No, I know.
But if I catch like the news or something, like, well, here we go. For example, I was in the spa earlier and it's all about everything that's going on in the media. I won't go into too much detail because obviously it creates triggers in people. But anyway, it triggered me massively. And I was getting like angry. You know, I don't do that very often.
So what a wonderful thing this is. Like you say, that you could, it's like waking up in the night and you start having thoughts of what happened the day before, or if anything triggered you the day before, and that comes back to you at night, doesn't it? And then straight away I bring that to the forefront of my mind. I love you, thank you. I don't say the whole 4 now, actually, most of the time. I literally just say I love you, thank you, because I know it's deleting.
Yeah, so what it is that lady was not listening. So I was like getting, not aggravated, but I was getting a little bit tense about it. So would I just say, for that lady, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you? No. I sat for myself.
All for you, because that's
all for me.
For you. That's
to clear.
For you. It's showing you what triggers you.
Yeah.
Because there is only you. So that wasn't happening for her in any way. That was your lesson for you to clear on, and you clear it for her. You clear it for your ancestors. Everything you're clearing.
Yeah, because what I was going to say is, because when I came away from that, because obviously basically what we're experiencing on the planet at the moment is like a carbon copy of what happened at the downfall of Atlantis.
Oh.
So every time that gets spoken about, that triggers it within me. So I obviously still need to do a lot of clearing around that. So thank you. I just wanted to sort of see what you...
No, that's all right. Dr. Hew Len would say all of this is bullshit. All you've got to do is say I love you and thank you.
I love you, thank you. Right, I'm going to do a lot of I love you and thank yous tonight.
But not for anyone else. Literally just to clear yourself.
Yeah, I will. I will do.
Bless you. Thanks, Renee.
Thank you. Thank you, Jackie.
I'm just going to see, because I think I've got a question there. Do you have a specific issue in mind to use it on, or can you just say it as a general clean? Oh, well, that's it. Oh, so I'm cleaning on my response to some trigger. Oh, let's go back up a bit, actually. Can Sarah leave and rejoin? Would it work? Okay, that's a good point, but I don't know if Sarah's on here now, if she sorted that out. Hopefully she has. Hi, Jackie. How do you know how long to clean for? Do you feel it? Brilliant question. So you don't know how long. You don't know how long it'll take to clean or clear, but literally you don't need to know that either. You are literally, it's like driving. It's like you're breathing. It's as good as you're breathing. You breathe all day long without thinking about it. You can bring your breath to your awareness and then breathe beautifully, you know, and really deep breaths, because we all, well, I can't speak for everyone, and there is only me. So I'm quite a shallow breather, and so I do need to take deeper breaths, and that's my, you know, I need to do that. So with Ho'oponopono, it's just having that awareness that you're saying that all the time, just the same as you're breathing all the time. It's running at the back of your mind the whole time. So you're not saying that for anyone else, because there is no one else. But if something comes up for you, isn't that a beautiful tool to know that you can just bring that up for you, to clear you of whatever has triggered a past memory from that person that you've witnessed. Does that make sense? So whatever's triggered you. So I had an issue last week, actually. I did a talk, and afterwards someone messaged me that was on the talk. There was more than one of us, a lot more, and said something that really did trigger me, and I allowed it to for a little while. Actually, even I spoke to Dennis about it on the hill on Sunday. So it obviously stayed with me and I hadn't cleared it. But now I feel completely, but I wasn't clearing it for that person. I was clearing it for me because it was an old memory playing within me. And I even spoke with Renee today. You mentioned it again, and I thought I do feel that much clearer about it. But obviously at the time it really did. So it was very good. It was very good of that person to do that for me, because that was something in it. But actually, then going on from that, from inspiration, I know what to go and do in future, and I won't be put in that position again. So yes. Yeah, so it's all our lessons for our learning, and for us to have a happier, joy-filled life. It really is. Just because there's a lot of questions coming up, I will just keep on top of this. Do you have any specific issue in mind? Oh yeah, so no specific issue. You just say it all the time. It is a cleaning tool, the delete tool. Absolutely, you know, you are doing it. But then obviously, like I said, something triggered me last week, and then I brought it to the forefront of my mind because I needed to. And I just did it for my own sake, and I visualize all the time just having a blank, you know, whiteboard in front of me so that I know I'm back. But what I'm saying is, I'm saying it to my inner child. I'm loving my inner child. I'm helping her feel secure and safe again, because she didn't feel secure or safe at that time. When that happened, she felt, the inner child felt attacked in some way from a past memory, from a past thing happening. So I needed to make her feel loved and secure again. So I was saying it to my inner child. And I know that's repeating, but I do honestly feel, because look how long I've been doing Ho'oponopono now, and I still need to remember these things. So it's really important for me to say it to myself, to my inner child. I love you. I thank you. And actually, I did do the whole 4 to start with on that. I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. And I'll just remind you of the 4, what the whole sentences are for that. Oh, I'm sorry for whatever programming is in me that created this event. Please forgive me for being unconscious to my own thought processes. Thank you for releasing this program from my being. I love you, and I'm returning to source and wiping my inner whiteboard clean. And then you can just visualize. After a while, you just calm down. You just feel much more at peace, at ease. Visualize being at this white 0, you know, without the old memories and tapes replaying. And do you know, it's literally, I know they say about the layers of an onion, but it honestly is like that. You really do have to keep taking the layers back, just by saying it over and over again. So we've got a massive question here, I think. When you say it, do you have to think of someone at the time? How do you know how many times to say it, or just say once with intention to clear? Do you have to think of the trigger or feeling when you say it? If you don't say it at the time of the trigger, okay. So I think I've answered that. Actually, you're not saying it to anyone else, because there is only you. There is only you in your reality. The trigger has been for you to clean on. And what Dr. Hew Len would say is his whole purpose in life is to clean. Drop in at any time, Dennis, if you want to say anything, because if I'm missing anything, I'd love you to say it. But yeah, Dr. Hew Len says, my whole purpose in life is to clean. So it's like you're breathing. It literally is as important as you're breathing, if you believe it, you know. And they also say, right, Ho'oponopono, not to practice other things as well as Ho'oponopono, because it will confuse your inner child. So if you're going to do Ho'oponopono, then do Ho'oponopono. But if you've learned other things like EFT, you know, I've done Akashic record reading with Renee now. Anything that you've done, once you're at 0 and it blank, you can bring whatever's needed from what you've learned previously. Your inspiration, once you're at 0, inspiration will come in with whatever's needed from what you've learned previously. So it's not that you're going to go in to start learning other things. I'm not saying don't, if that appeals to you, you know, but your inner child can get confused if you're learning so many different things. You know, at one point I was like a sponge. I was learning so many different things and wanting to. But now I've settled on Ho'oponopono. I've stayed with it for such a long time now. I just love it because I know that it's helped me so much. And my life is pretty great on the, you know, of course so many things go through my mind. You know, a very good, lovely, dear friend of mine, her life support was switched off on Sunday, wasn't it? Sunday, yeah. And so
Jackie, you never told me.
Oh, I forgot. Well, I didn't forget. Well, I didn't forget, but yeah, her life support was switched off on Sunday.
I'm so sorry.
I know, but then I had the huge celebration of my birthday all weekend, and then you have to counter that. But actually, when Dennis tuned in and when I tuned in, she's absolutely fine. You know, that was her chosen path. And we absolutely love her, and we've got the memories of her. Yeah, so it's really wonderful in a way, because that just clears you to know that whatever your chosen path is, you know, you're just at 0 to allow inspiration to come in. So oh, that sounds all. What would you say on that, Dennis?
Well, with regards to what you're just talking with Rennie, if something's triggering you in that, and it could be sadness or whatever, but if it's really affecting, just to clean.
Yes.
That's a memory, and it's not being hard. It's not cleaning the memory of who we're talking about.
Yeah.
And I just look at it to Kate, Irene, Norma, Patricia, maybe. So, what happens with doing Ho'oponopono for so long is when the trigger happens, in whatever form, somebody driving badly cuts you up, you make a judgment or whatever. Like the question is, do I need to think of this person, or do I need to think of what's happened? Ultimately, no, you don't. Whatever's come up inside of you, that's what you clean. And I can only obviously speak for me, but whatever triggers me, because I'm in this 3D world, you know, life happens. You know, my life is brilliant. I keep saying it, but it is. But still, stuff happens. But by doing a Ho'oponopono all the time, it's an automatic response now to go into the four phrases, and I'm no longer thinking about the thing or the person. So if somebody's triggered me, I'm not cleaning on that person, what's happened, what they said. I'm just automatically cleaning. And so that person or this thing just really goes away. And that's how it neutralizes and just settles you down. So,
Absolutely agree.
God, you know, he's really teased me off. I'll clean on that. But actually, whatever this person has said, for instance, my personal response will be straight into Ho'oponopono, and I won't be thinking about the person, the thing, or the situation. But like Jackie, we've been doing it a long time, and it becomes an automatic, bit like driving. We don't, you know, we get in the car, drive to Southampton. How did we get there? And Ho'oponopono is the same. But by doing it so often, it's an automatic response to what might be triggering us. Does that make sense to people? that becomes automatic. You don't have to say it to the person, it's yourself. It's
totally for you, isn't it? And it's clearing it for all of you, your ancestors, or memory. Yeah. I mean, you've trained in many other things, haven't you, Dennis?
I haven't really, Jackie. I'm like a sponge. I love everything.
Yeah, but Ho'oponopono is really the one that really resonates. Yeah.
Anything. And I see, who was it? Oh, Patricia, I think. Oh, can I use it on pain? And somebody mentioned EFT. I mean, there are people around the planet. EFT probably works well with Ho'oponopono, but actually, if you're doing EFT, the end result is the same as just saying the 4 sentences. So instead of saying, you know, whatever it is, me and I'm sorry, everything else, you're doing all of this. The end result with Ho'oponopono and EFT, as if everything else is the same. And as Jackie will say with Mabel, it's the easiest way.
That's it. That is the simplest way. Yeah, we try and make it complicated, and we try and ask all these questions come up, because that's our normal, natural way of going on. I interview people, so I have to be thinking of the next question. But I hope I'm clear enough and open enough to be open to inspiration for the next question to come through. So that's sort of what I'm thinking. And another good question here, Dennis, from Cleo. She's studying Ho'oponopono at the moment, and the bluebell technique. Well, I've never used the bluebell technique. I've heard of it, but I don't need it. I don't understand it or get it, actually.
Yeah, I don't use the bluebell technique. The same as, Hew Len said to Joe Vitale about tombstone, and you turn on a tombstone. The things I personally do is, I do a lot of Ho'oponopono. I do a lot of Morna's prayer. I often do the Ha, but what I do is I use blue solar water.
Yes.
Every day, every night. I've always got a blue glass. I've got, at work, I've got an eyedropper, and I'll have 3, 5 or 7 drops of solar water. And I believe in that. So yeah, the bluebell, there's various other things. I don't use them. If you feel
if you're drawn to that, by all means, yeah. And also with the pencil with the eraser on the end, because you're thinking you're erasing at the time, so you can tap it onto whatever you're thinking about and just think you're erasing that. But basically, that's what we love about this, the simplicity of it. Literally the simplicity of just, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you and thank you. And just, I love you and thank you. Can you imagine if you're sending love out to the world all day long? I love you and thank you. Thank you for what, giving me one more opportunity to clean on this. I mean, it's just so simple. That's what I just love about it. So, can you teach it on Zoom? Yes, I can. How would you talk to your inner child to release pain? So again, you've got a specific thing in mind, but what you're doing is just doing Ho'oponopono, the delete key for whatever's going on within you. But not, so when you think of it as a specific thing, so for pain, then you've got an expectation around that. And then you've got a judgment if it's not coming quick enough for what you're thinking. So I would just say, you're just saying it completely. Obviously, you've got that in mind, that you've got the pain, and you're saying to the pain, I'm sorry for whatever's in me that has created this. I love you. No, I've gone it. Well, it doesn't even matter about the order, but yeah, please forgive me for being unconscious to my own thought processes for what's created this. Thank you for releasing this programming from my being. And I love you, and I'm returning to source and wiping my inner whiteboard clean. I've obviously had a bit of sciatica before. I don't know if it's that or the turmeric that's helped. I don't care, you know. I'm doing two things for that. That is the Ho'oponopono, but not for that particularly, just because I'm doing it all the time. But I also take turmeric and black pepper capsules, because for any pain, joint pain, any pains, I do believe turmeric and black pepper is a really good thing. Yeah. Anything you want to say on that, Dennis?
No, I think ultimately whatever feels right for each of us, do it. But Ho'oponopono is so simple. It is so simple, but our memories that we hold, our intellect requires to understand it. So that's why Jack and I will do a day on it to go, you know, really explain the process, but we don't have to know why it works. It does just work. And if you can imagine, if we're using EFT in thinking about something else, well, EFT, just for an instance, I like EFT. I don't do it. I used to. I just do Ho'oponopono. But if we're doing EFT, even though, you know, maybe I've got a headache, even though I have this headache, I truly and deeply love and accept myself and go through the process. But Ho'oponopono, it's exactly the same. We're just saying, I'm sorry for whatever it is in me that this pain in my head is showing up. And in the EFT, we would then be doing the tapping. But Ho'oponopono is, I'm sorry for whatever it is in me that this pain is showing up, although I wouldn't say this pain. Please forgive me for being unaware it's part of me. You know, thank you for this opportunity to erase and release this memory. And I love you, return to source. It's exactly the same as EFT. I love EFT. I think it's brilliant. Ho'oponopono is simple. It does the same thing.
Just so simple. Absolutely. And instead of struggling or reacting or blaming anyone else, you're taking responsibility, but you're not taking the heaviness. It's not, you know, not to feel guilty or anything about that. Just know it's old tapes, old memories replaying over and over again, and you're clearing those old memories and you're going back to zero. But you're also in that process, you're loving and accepting and making your inner child feel safe, loved, secure, protected. Really love her or him, you know, really help him or her to feel the love that perhaps, because we have neglected our inner children. Very few of us, I would say, consciously think about our inner children. And that's so important, because do you see the, you know, I always remember the thing that happened at school when I was tiny, and this teacher asked me to go to another class and get something from, ask her for something for this teacher. And I got there and I looked through the window of the door and I just couldn't walk in. And so I went back and lied to the teacher. Do you know, instead I don't know what I said. Actually, I was so traumatized by thinking I couldn't go in the room and that. And that little girl took on that trauma of that situation, thinking I couldn't do something, you know. But you're clearing that, you know, I've even cleared on that me at my age now, you know, for things like that, because I could not have walked in front of another whole class, and it was an older class as well, and asked this teacher something in front of everyone. Just, you know, so we've all got memories like that, and I'm sure things have come up for you while we're talking about that, even me saying that. So it's really good just to think, you know, I know you're not thinking of that particular, but by the clearing that I've done over the time, that doesn't give me the feeling that I did have when I used to think about it, because I could still feel how I felt then about that situation, if that makes sense. Yeah.
I'll answer. Patricia, you asked, do I mean bicarbonate soda in blue glass? No, it's just a blue glass bottle or tumbler leave it in the sun, ideally for 20 minutes or more, and it's just tap water. And it's just tap water, and it's called solar water, blue solar water. And this was channeled down to Dr. Hew Len, and that's why we have that in Ho'oponopono.
I do believe in that one, and I've got my blue bottles in the windowsill, and I fill them up with the tap water, and then after an hour, well, I said he says 15 minutes, but I leave it an hour, and then you can drink it. You can put it into your washing, put it into your washing up bowl, anything that you use, into your cooking, just even a drop. It's like an essence, like the bark remedies and that. It's just like using that, really, because it's a delete. It's just cleansing everything that you do, that you think about. Do you believe that, Dennis?
Yeah, I use it
all the time.
In the morning when I get into work, because it's on my table at work, and the sun comes through, and when I leave work. So I use blue soda. I mean, my drinking tumblers, one in the kitchen, one in the bedroom, a blue glass soda water. But at work I do it, and that's stuck with him really from when it was introduced to us through Hew Len.
Yeah.
I can answer to Renee, so because this is a common thing about having let's call it having a subject that's come up in us. So with Renee, if you're saying if you had an issue with someone and wanted to be clear for that person too, is that possible? Whatever we're clearing on cleans from past lives into us, into that person, whatever it is. So we're cleaning forward as well. We are stopping that memory.
For anything in that situation, for anything in our reality, isn't it?
Yeah, so if someone's triggering you, it just happens, doesn't it? Or it might be a good memory, a bad memory, whatever. It clears for them as well. But what you do, you just say the Ho'oponopono. You don't think about somebody, you don't think about something, that this mad person's cut me up in my car and he didn't indicate. I've got a choice. I can be really angry all day and pissed off. Well, he might not be. Or I can think, I'm sorry, please forgive me, whatever it is in me, I have brought this up. So I have accepted, and I accept, and I trust, believe me, I accept 100% responsibility for everything in my life. And what Ho'oponopono does, it brings you
peace,
amazing peace within. So when you are at peace, you're then open to what Source, God, your higher spirit's going to give you. You're operating at a frequency that can hear and feel and receive the inspiration. When you're acting from a memory or reacting from a memory, so you're just tearing yourself up about somebody. Well, that person's probably not tearing themselves up, but you're doing yourself no good. Using Ho'oponopono, and you do it for as many times until you feel settled. And I know it's not the word's not used in Ho'oponopono. It's maybe incorrect, but I always say it neutralizes it. Okay, so that maybe puts us. It doesn't get rid of it, but actually Ho'oponopono does get rid of it. But if you say it now, for instance, about three weeks ago, I like to have a bath. A bath is quite a meditative space for me. And something came up in my awareness about, I can't remember if it was a family member or a friend or whatever. And for the first time in probably quite a few years, I thought, my goodness, this just isn't clearing. It's diminishing. Now, that was probably the first time in years, I've repeatedly done a Ho'oponopono on what I was feeling to clean it. So in that instance, I kept doing it until it was gone, really. In fact, so in 3 weeks I hadn't thought about it. It wasn't a big trigger. I don't really know why it came up, but of course I'm operating at some, a level, and somebody said, or something come into me, and I did say to myself, this, I'm not cleaning this. I'll keep going, and that's what I did, and it did clean it.
Wonderful.
It's peace. This will bring you such peace within.
So some look at this as a forgiveness prayer. Some look at it as to bring you peace, and some, just to realize how much you love yourself. It's love, peace, and forgiveness. It's just everything, and so much relates to Ho'oponopono. I mean, different things, you get the same result, but this I've always found to be the easiest. The purpose in life is to be restored back to love moment by moment. Your only opponent is your memories. So you're wanting to be restored back to love moment by moment. And yes, the only thing in your way is your memories. And the only way to do that is, I'm sorry, well, for me anyway, is I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. Do you still say all four, Dennis?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I know. We had someone on recently and they said you only need the I love you and thank you now, which I mean I totally get, because even by that, divinity or your inner child sends it up to divinity for transmutation, and comes back as inspiration, which is marvelous. So it's up to you, but all four or just the two, it's still got the same connotation. There's still the same meaning for it, and divinity would know that, and only God knows how long it can take for it to be cleared and cleaned, and knows when you're ready for the next part, and you just trust in that. You don't put a time on it or a judgment on it. We are perfect. It's only our memories that are not perfect. And obviously, most of what we do and think comes from the memories that we've got. I didn't even finish telling you that with Dr. Hew Len's story, after 4 years, that ward was shut down. There was only one person I've seen since. It wasn't said at that time, but there was one person since, and I think it was Dr. Hew Len said, Billy, we could never clear Billy, so he went to another secure unit. But other than that, they all went to a lesser secure unit. There was people going on to court for a retrial and taking full responsibility and actually admitting that they were guilty. Just a miraculous sort of changes but how it helped the staff as well, because they actually loved coming to work. Didn't even understand why, but once he explained it to them as well, and they were all doing it. So in the CD, I would listen to the CD as I went along, Zero Limits with Joe Vitale, and yeah, there's some marvelous stories on there about what's happened to different ones using it. I just when some people say about the different speakers and that I've had over the last 8 years, and the different things that have happened and the synchronicities and that, and well, I don't want to say, but honestly, I just think, I have been clear enough to allow that just to come in and happen, because we have had some truly marvelous, wonderful speakers over the last 8 years. And so, yeah, I just trust now that I'll trust it continues. And yeah.
I've got lots and lots of real instances how Ho'oponopono just works, but just in relation to Hew Len and his situation at the psychiatric hospital, about 7 years ago, I employed a chap, and I've known the family for a long time, within the diving industry, and it'd be a judgment if I say anything, but we were talking, and it was a bit of a battle, not in a horrible way. And anyway, the family, there's a lot of ego in it. So when this chap would be talking to me about something, I'm just cleaning, because it was just irritating me a bit. I think for what I was doing, it's to do with work, and it was to do with him personally. He was going through a bit of a transition, and so all the time he was talking to me, why he couldn't, why he wouldn't, why he can't. I'm cleaning, and 20 minutes later he said to me, "I don't want to be cured, do I, Dennis?" I said, "Well, you do, and now we can start." But instead of me responding to his ego response to me,
Brilliant.
I just cleaned. This about 7 years ago, and that there's so many instances, but that's how Ho'oponopono works. Instead of me raising to an ego, possible to an argument, or trying to justify, no, you required to do it this way, I just shut up and cleaned. And I swear to God, it's absolutely true story. And yeah, so that cleaned through him. He came calmed down. We weren't having a big argument, but whatever happened in him, for me, it was all about me. And 20 minutes later, then we worked on why he didn't think he could do this, and why he didn't think he could do that, something else.
Marvellous.
True story. There's many of them.
Well, Joe Vitale, in one of his things that he talks about, a person that sent him a dreadful email, and he was really shocked by it. And then he just did the Ho'oponopono. He didn't react, which before he said he would have absolutely reacted. He'd have gone straight back with something, but he didn't react. He did the Ho'oponopono. Half hour later, he had an apology of another email saying, "I don't know what come over me. That's not like me at all, I'm really sorry." Couldn't believe it, but just by doing that clearing for himself. So by all means, has anyone got any questions they'd like to ask? Because you're more than welcome. Either unmute or just put them in the chat box, because we're more than happy to take any questions on this. I was looking, oh yeah, I have got it, thank goodness. I'm just going to read this out to you. This is the healing, Morna Simeona's healing prayer. Oh, because before, I'll just tell you about Morna, when she first did the Ho'oponopono, it would be that all the family would come together, or whoever was involved in the situation that needed to be looked at. And nobody would leave the room. It could take hours. No one would leave the room until, by doing Ho'oponopono, they had resolved their differences. I'm not sure if it was Morna in the end or Dr Hew Len that actually changed it to knowing that there is only you. I think it was Morna, that to know it was only you. Yes, Dennis said it was Morna. There is only you in your reality, so there is no need to include the family or anyone else, because there is only you. This is the reality. If your thoughts create your reality, and that's what we say, your thoughts create your reality, so haven't you created everything that's within that? No matter how unjust or unfair or whatever it seems. And this is an amazing opportunity for us to all clear and clean, because we're hopefully on this ascension for a much brighter future. And if we can keep that in mind, what a wonderful thing that would be, just by being clear ourselves, for the ascension process. So, healing prayer that Morna Simeona used to recite sometimes before practicing Ho'oponopono. Divine Creator, Father, Mother, Son is one. If I, my family, relatives, and ancestors have offended you, your family, relatives, and ancestors in thoughts, words, deeds, and actions, from the beginning of our creation to the present, we ask your forgiveness. Let this cleanse, purify, release, cut all negative memories, blocks, energies, and vibrations, and transmute these unwanted energies to pure light. And it is done. I love that. So if you want I mean, in actual fact, just saying I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you, incorporates that. But you do have to know that to obviously understand that's what it incorporates.
And I use Morna's prayer probably every day.
Do you? I mean, you could probably recite it without reading it then.
I can, but so when I astral travel, I like to do gong baths, and of course a lot have been done online. So like Jackie was saying, like at night when our monkey mind is going on about something, which is just a memory playing. So you know, I'll settle myself down for a gong, but I'll have already been thinking about the gong, doing Ho'oponopono about it. And so, of course, you know, my monkey mind, I wouldn't say I worry about anything, but it'd be, you know, thinking about this, thinking about that. So I will do the process of Morna's prayer as a starting point. And then I'll be doing Ho'oponopono for as many times as I just feel I'm going to do it. And that really by then I'm starting to be really quite quiet in myself. So whether it's a habit, but for me, Morna's prayer is really important. But I generally start by, I just say, you know, Divine Creator, you know, Mother, Father, Son as one, all that is and all that ever will be. Thank you for my creation. Then I'll do Morna's prayer. And if I'm required to do Ho'oponoponos, which I do, whatever I'm thinking about, and then I will speak to my inner child. And I was saying to Jackie on Sunday, and so I reassure my inner child, you are safe. So the inner child is our memories just playing. It wants to protect us. And because we, for the most part, just don't give our subconscious mind, which is running our programs, which is storing our programs, it's just running, keeping us alive. And so personally for me, and it's not, again, it's okay, I add it to my Ho'oponopono process, but I call it young Dennis. In my son, you can stop, it is safe. And then sometimes I'll go through and clear entities that may have attached, but that's not a fear thing. It's just to make sure that I'm clean, because when you're operating with source the whole time, I feel to be in love with yourself and everything, I do protect myself a little bit, but and it's not so much protection as I just make sure I'm clean of entities as well. But it's not a fear thing. But Ho'oponopono is, as Jackie, you know, it's the same. We just do it all the time, but it becomes a subconscious
nature. Yeah, second nature, isn't it? Thank you, Dennis.
You're welcome.
So I'm going to just finish with this, but again, if there's any questions, more than happy to take them. So learn all about the Hawaiian word of forgiveness. Traditional Hawaiians believe that all life is connected to each other, and by practicing Ho'oponopono, they heal themselves and other people around the world and around them. Hawaiians wish to live a life of pono. To them, every action in life is either pono or not. Being pono means being in perfect balance with all things in life, to live a life of righteousness. Pono means that you have good relationships with your family members, with your friends, and with all people that you meet. It means your relationships with others are always fair and good, without anger or jealousy. All arguments and conflicts can be cured with Ho'oponopono or forgiveness. The process of making right, they use Ho'oponopono to fix relationships that have gone wrong. Forgiveness is healthy. It means letting go of hard feelings like anger or sadness when someone else does something wrong. It doesn't mean that what that person did isn't wrong anymore. It means that you find it in your heart to give that person another chance. It isn't good to hang on to those feelings of anger, sadness, because forgiveness is healthy for you. And that actually sounded a bit like there is other people in your reality. So I know that's conflicting, but you understand that your mind for a long time, you will still think that there is things happening to you from other people until you get used to the fact that there is only you, and it is for you to clean on, to be Pono. I know Dennis has often said, I'm going to be Pono. I am Pono.
Cut the crap and be Pono.
Exactly. Any questions? I'm sure there's loads have come up, but I have covered a lot tonight, so I'm quite sure there's a lot to think about there. And I know I can't see what Cleo's written there. Jackie, do you teach this to clients? Yes, I do. I can do, yes. I don't advertise that, but I have obviously done some, you know.
When are you running a course?
And that's what Renee said, when are we running a course? Yeah. I've not done a Ho'opono course, actually. I've literally only done day events, haven't we, Dennis?
You need to do a course. That will help so many people. Just being sat in this space tonight has been so beautiful. So thank you. So lovely.
Well, honestly, message me after if you didn't want to say anything now about any questions or that. But if anyone wants to know anything afterwards, I mean, the basic of what we wanted to cover, definitely, or what I wanted to cover with you tonight has been covered. But yeah, there's loads more, because obviously I went on and did the advanced course as well. But that incorporates gong baths, like Dennis said, EFT. There's so many different things. Walking a labyrinth with doing Ho'oponopono. There's different ones. At the end of the day, the simplest way is what I love, and that is just the I love you, please forgive me. Or even I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you.
Thank you all. I think what Morna's done ultimately in Hew Len has brought to us, particularly I guess in the Western world. I've studied fairly well Hawaiian ways with Ho'oponopono, because you've got the ancient, but also even now traditional or Hawaiians will do Ho'oponopono Kiala, which is to make right the path. But what they say in talking about Pono, so they're still doing it ultimately the same way, and it's like, don't come to the party if it's killy, which means don't come to the party if you're angry. Don't, if you've got a memory playing, don't come to the party, only come as Pono. And ultimately, what Jackie's talking about through Hew Len and Mabel and ultimately Morna, it is just the easiest way. It's just so simple. And I promise you, it produces a peace within, and that will bring glorious things to your life.
Honestly, I totally agree there. Yeah, some amazing things happen. I don't know if I attribute that to Ho'oponopono, but I do Ho'oponopono all the time. So I believe, it really has helped me enormously. Yeah, so thank you everyone that joined tonight. Really grateful, and hope to see you again soon. Next week we've got Tarot by Janine. I don't know if you've heard of Tarot by Janine, but she is absolutely wonderful. She does, you can ask any question. Well, I'd like any questions put in beforehand, actually, and we'll take the best of them. We've already got quite a few. Tarot by Janine, she looks in, I don't know if you want to look her up. She does the most amazing videos. But to actually have the opportunity to speak to her in person next week, and ask any questions, and then she'll draw the cards and give a reply on what she thinks. So I'm sure Mary's already got a about 7 or 8 questions for me. Thank you so much for this evening. Loved it and look forward to participating. Oh, bless you. Thank you. Amazing lesson. Thank you, Anna and Carol. Thank you both. Lovely. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, Anne. Okay. Night. Oh, Maggie
Night.
was here as well. I didn't see Maggie. Hello. Or goodbye. Lots of love. Thanks, Dennis. You've been great.